Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the season finale of the 2022 VRL Cup Series. We are here tonight at Las Vegas Motor Speedway for the Sin City 200. My name is Mason Heimbaugh, joined alongside me, Gareth McAllister, bringing you the action here tonight, 1080p, 60 frames a second, here with Team Goon Squad. Fumbling on my words here a little bit. I am excited here for tonight's race as we are going to see officially Howie Briss in the number 97 machine take home the championship. All he had to do to come home with that championship was just simply show up. And he is here tonight to put on some great racing. And not only that, we have some battles happening not only for the second place spot, but third place as well between Tony Hilbrand's Jaden Hopp as well as Nicholas Lovell. So, got to be on the lookout for those various battles here tonight as we get started in tonight's action. But Gareth, we were talking a little bit about what to expect here tonight at Las Vegas, and, frankly, given what we've kind of talked about here, it's going to be a relatively, I would say, almost a easy night for these drivers as far as the racing goes. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, Mason, first of all, g'day, as always. This track opened in 1996, 20 degrees of banking. It is progressive, so the higher you go, the more banking there is. And other than that, it's Las Vegas. We're in the desert. We should be, I believe we might actually be under lights towards the end of this race, so that should add an extra element, and it should be a lot of grip for these guys coming into this race tonight because, as I said, we are later in the day, so there should be a colder track temperature. However, we are still in the desert, so I could be proven wrong, but I think that we should be seeing some nice clean racing. I believe that we're going to have some nice two-wide action for the most part, and it should be good fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And currently in the field, we have just over, I think, about 13, 14 drivers currently present here tonight for the season finale. It's not exactly a 30-car field, but all of the drivers that have been here, that are here tonight, have been here throughout the season. And it's really great to see all of these talented drivers here tonight to send things off for a final hoorah for the 2022 season and moving forward into the 2023 season, which I am very, very happy to announce that we are, Team Goon Squad, we are going to be coming back for the 2023 season here with VRL to bring you the coverage of next year. I'm very excited about that, and I'm very excited to have Gareth McAllister joining me for those races going into next season. What I'm also excited to see here is the number 53 machine of Michael Keithley, that beautiful, beautiful Shrek paint scheme that I haven't seen in so long here, back out here on track. Really great to see Michael Keithley back out here putting down some laps here in the final race of the season. And really, Gareth, I'm just excited overall to see what these drivers are going to do, and based on qualifying, Tony Hilbrand seems to be the driver on top of his game here tonight with a 30.49 as his best time. That's going to put him up at the front row for the start of today's race, which is going to play huge in his battle for holding that second place spot here in the championship.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's Tony Hilbrand is really looking to try and clinch that second place spot. Shrek is love, Shrek is life, and it's great to see Michael Keithley coming back. I'm sorry, I kind of had to get that jab in at some point, so I'm glad I got it out of the way now. Hilbrand's is looking very, very strong already, and we should be seeing a great race out of him. I still think that the biggest thing to look for at the moment, though, is going to be the battle for third place in the competition. Hilbrand's not too far ahead in second place, but then you've got Hopp and Lovell. Now, they're only separated by 5 points, which is the equivalent of basically one position. So if Lovell is able to finish with a car between himself and Jaden Hopp, that will put them tied for points. And I believe it's then comes down to who has the best finishing position, or the most wins, most likely. And, they actually have both the same amount of wins. So it'll be interesting to see how that comes down, if that does come into play. But I think that's actually going to be the battle to watch tonight.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think there's still a lot of action to be seen here in tonight's race, even despite, Howie Briss clinching the championship already. Yeah, there is still battles to be seen here in those top 3 spots. So definitely got to keep an eye out on those few drivers that we mentioned and see where they end up here in tonight's race. But speaking of the drivers and where they are starting in tonight's race, let's go ahead and run through our starting lineup. Tony Hillbrands and Jaden Hopp going to be in the front row. Patrick Colby, Scott Shire in our second row. Howie Briss, Nicholas Lovell. Taking the third row here tonight, Sean Williams, Michael Keithley in our fourth row. James Koulibaly and Aaron Smith in our fifth row. Nicholas, me and Gareth had a little bit of a conversation about this, but long story short, your new name is now Nicholas Casserole. James Miller in the sixth row here, moving ourselves down the grid here. Michael Ashmore and Howie Dietrich going to be in our final row in the 7th place spot. I'm sorry, Nicholas. We had a little bit of a discussion before the start of the race. We tried to bring you in the booth to clarify what your last name was, how it was actually pronounced. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get that clarification. So, as per the Discord chat, you are now Nicholas Casserole. It just so happens that I love casserole. So, I mean, it works out.
In fairness to Nicholas, just by the way, for all the spectators watching, he did actually tell me that I believe it's actually Coruscant or something along those lines, but I, in my infinite wisdom, have just forgotten exactly what he said. So that's all on me. And Nicholas Casserole is going to be taking the green.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry, that's just too funny. But Nicholas, I assure you that before the start of the 2023 season, we are going to get this down. We're going to get it clarified and make sure that going into next year, we are saying your name correctly. But for the memes for tonight, it is going to be Casserole, and I think that's just going to be funny anyway. But Tony Hillbrand, Jaden Hopp out here in the front row. Love to see these two out here. They tend to put on some rather exciting battles. And not only that, Patrick Colby in the number 9 machine as well up here alongside Scott Shire. And Scott Shire, a driver, honestly, typically we see have a lot of good short run speed, but as the run starts to go on a little bit, that long run speed starts to affect the number 4 driver. Some tracks a little bit better for him, other tracks not so much. We'll see if that's the case here tonight at Las Vegas for Scott Shire. But great to see him up here in the second row as we are about ready to take that green flag as the lights are off on the pace car. And we make our way around the field around the track actually for the last time before we see that pace car make its way down into the pits. And we see the green flag drop here for the very first time. And Gareth, I mean, we got Don Hillbrands in here, a usual guest, well, I say guest, but viewer here of the VRL series, and it's always great to see our viewers coming back and chatting with us in the chat. Don, hello. Thank you for tuning in for the season finale, and thank you for the kind words. I'm just more than certain that I can speak for Gareth and myself when I say that we are more than excited to come in to next year. It's going to be absolutely thrilling. I'm excited for what we have going into next year, but what I'm more excited about is what we are going to see here on this start, Gareth. I'm getting ready for the green flag to drop. Why don't you take us away here for the green flag?
Alrighty. Tony Hillbrand's Jaden Hopp starting in the first 2 positions, so it'll really be interesting to see who gets the jump out of the start. Typically, the inside line will, I think, be the preferred line, as you can really lock that down pretty early on, but Tony Hillbrand's coming around, getting around the tri-oval, and here we go. Under green, Tony Hillbrand's taking a nice lead over Jaden Hopp. Not as nice as I actually thought. The camera was a little bit misleading for me, though. Patrick Colby easily taking 3rd place away from Scott Shire, who's now stuck on the high side. Howie Briss going underneath him as well. Jaden Hopp still getting ahead, following behind Hillbrands now. And they're working their way mostly single file already, so that did not take long for these drivers to find their preferred groove. But Howie Briss is going to go underneath Scott Shire, now attack Patrick Colby as well, and they're going to go too wide, a little bit further down. Sean Williams and Nicholas Lovell are going to be side by side.
A little bit of action forming here outside of the top three, as again, as Gareth mentioned, they're going single file just ahead of them with Tony Hillbrands and Jaden Hopp almost nose to tail with one another. But back here, currently looking at Scott Shire in 6th place at this moment, as he's got a heavy bit of traffic behind him. Sean Williams as well as Michael Keithley right on the tail end of that number 4 Fox machine. But just ahead of them, Nicholas Lovell, Patrick Colby, as well as Howie Briss, all fighting their way up the field here. Patrick Colby trying to get back into that 3rd place spot, as Howie Briss, again, he doesn't even necessarily need these finishes here tonight. He could finish all the way at the tail end of the field and still be champion, but I think he is going to look to finish as high as he possibly can here in tonight's race. As per usual, he's going to look for that consistency, but right now, Nicholas Lovell also looking on a very good charge here. With Patrick Colby up on the outside, he's staying real low around the track here, utilizing as, well, I don't want to say as little of the track as he can here, but trying to keep as much momentum out of that 37 machine, and really try and keep anyone else from taking away that advantage from him. So as we're starting to see the field start to separate here a little bit, Gareth, I mean, what are we thinking here, tire wear wise? You know, pit strategies. Looking at, I have to go back and look here. 134 laps is our fuel window, or 50 to 60 laps is our fuel window. Excuse me, looking at the wrong number there, but this early on,
that's a really big fuel tank if they can get all the way.
Yeah, looking, it was definitely not the right number to be looking at there, but yeah, I mean, Las Vegas definitely going to be one of the hotter tracks that we see on the schedule, but as you mentioned earlier in the broadcast, we might potentially see the track come under the lights, which, based on what I'm seeing from the cameras, the sun seems to be setting, and I think the track temperatures are actually going to be coming down here and helping the drivers gain traction as the race goes on here. So I'm not entirely too certain what to expect here this early in the race, especially as the sun's still out. But Michael Keithley there, a little bit of a wobble out of the back end as he comes out of 4. But I don't know, Gareth, what are we thinking here?
Well, as the day turns in tonight, we're going to see the track cool down. We're going to see the drivers feel like they have more under the car. The pace will get quicker. The tires will be happier. It'll just be great all around. Everyone's going to be happy. No one's going to be upset. It's the only thing that's going to be impacted is visibility, but this track has plenty of lights. You can see them all over the top of grandstands. There's not going to be any trouble whatsoever there. Nicholas Lovell really looking on the back bumper of Howie Briss and wanting to make at least one more move, as Jaden Hopp, we did miss it sadly, but Jaden Hopp did manage to get past Tony Hillbrands for that top spot. And if Hopp finishes where he is and Nicholas Lovell finishes where he is, Jaden Hopp has secured the 3rd position for the championship at the moment as it stands. So Nicholas Lovell not wanting to give up the fight for that 3rd place spot. So he's going to have to pass Howie Briss. And, you know, like you said, Howie Briss doesn't really need to perform incredibly well at the moment, but he's definitely going to, because he's a racing driver. I mean, you can't tell a race car driver, oh yeah, it's fine, you've won, you don't have to turn up. That's not how their mentality works, you know. These guys are fully committed to what they do. They love what they do, and they're going to see it through to the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, the nice thing about the VRL Cup Series is that there's no teams involved in the championship. It's all purely based on the driver's sole ability to drive the car. But in certain team sports, sometimes there is a bit of strategy involved where you want a teammate to finish in a certain position, or whatever the case may be. Formula One, Max Verstappen. Anyway, so moving on. I was
wondering what you were alluding to there.
Moving on, though, Howie Briss doesn't exactly have to worry about anything like that, so he can finish anywhere he possibly wants. And given his pace right now, I don't think he really is going to find himself anywhere outside of the top 3, as right now, sitting just about a half a second behind Tony Hillbrands and closing with Nicholas Lovell currently on his tail, giving a little bit of that draft support that he needs to bring that time down little by little. So, I mean, again, as the field separates even further, you can take a look at that separation down on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. You can see where drivers are based on their position. But, so, I mean, lap 12 of 134, it's very early in the race and already seeing gap times of about a half a second. So I'm beginning to think here that a little bit of conservation might be happening amongst the field, where they're aware that the track is going to be a little bit hotter than usual at the start of this race, just given that the sun is still out. You know, tires are going to get a lot hotter, a lot quicker. We've already seen that a little bit from some drivers, just getting a little bit loose. And if we ride on board here again, let's actually go ahead and do that here for just a second, so I can show you folks what I mean here, if I can find the right camera angle. But we're going to go ahead, we're going to ride on board here with Michael Ashmore just for this demonstration here. But so if you listen carefully, if you listen closely, you can hear and you can see as well in the rev limiter, or in the speedometer, not speedometer, whatever, you get my point.
Tachometer.
Tachometer, thank you, Gareth. You can hear that these drivers really aren't lifting all that much here on this track. It's kind of super speedway-esque, not completely. They do definitely still have to lift off. They can't take these turns full on, but they don't exactly have to get on the brakes either. So you're definitely going to be heating up those tires very, very quickly when the sun's still out. But as we get further into the race here, the sun settles, lights come on, things start to get a little bit different as far as the racing goes. And I think potentially, Gareth, we might see the field bunch up a little bit, if not maybe a lot.
Yeah, it's I don't know, it should be coming together. There are a couple battles happening at the moment. Obviously, we see this one right now between Michael Ashmore and Nicholas Coruscant. I'm gonna attempt to pronounce that right for once. Sean Williams is not too far behind Michael Keithley for 6th place as well. This one we're watching at the moment is for 9th. And Lovell is still working on Briss for 3rd. So we've still got a couple of battles at the moment that are all underneath half a second here. But it's just that they're a little bit strung out at the moment. There's a lot of single file happening, even though they're quite close together. And yeah, when the track gets a little bit colder, you might see them get closer together and bunch up a bit, especially if there is a caution coming out. So it should spice up a little bit more than what we're seeing, although it's not exactly, you know, spaced out to the point where we've got nothing to show either. So it's kind of in this pretty decent balance at the moment, and it looks like Sean Williams is making a move on Michael Keithley, gets it done for the 6th place spot there, just ahead of this battle. There it is. And no, they're going to stay too wide. Thought Sean Williams got through, but Michael Keithley said no. And Shrek pulled him back out of the swamp.
Indeed he did. Indeed he did. And while we have a little bit of a look here at the action happening on our screens here, we're also going to take a look at the point standings. So Don asked if we had an updated point standings that we can show, and here it is. So showing you the top 20 here in the points, you can see Howie Briss currently with 5. I know it's a little hard to read. I apologize if it is a little bit on the smaller side of things, but Howie Briss with 5,814 points, if I'm reading that here correctly. Let me actually go into 5,819 points, excuse me. And Tony Hillbrand's going to be 365 points behind that. In 2nd place, Jaden Hopp, 427 points behind the leader. Nicholas Lovell, 432 points behind the leader. In 4th place, Sean Williams in that 5th place spot, and so on and so forth. But it has been a phenomenal season for every single one of these drivers, and frankly, with this being the first time that we've covered anything from VRL, I'm excited, to say the least. going into next year, what these drivers have in store, what the league has in store, and what we're going to see, Gareth. I think next year is going to have a lot of great racing and hopefully, potentially, a lot of new faces to show up and see what they've got to put up here with VRL.
Yeah, it should be a fantastic one to see, and I'm just as excited as you are. I'm actually super keen. I love this league and I love the drivers. It's great to come here every week and just enjoy myself. Just spend some time talking while we get to watch these guys do what they do best and put on a fantastic show. And speaking of a show, Howie Briss has really closed the gap on Tony Hilbrands for second place at the moment. You know, Briss, one of those drivers that always seems to be incredibly consistent, and clearly showing that right now, where he's been able to just save a bit more tire probably than Tony Hilbrands at the moment. We know Howie Briss is a little bit better than Hilbrands on conserving that tire wear, so Briss seeming to make the most of it before we get into the dark and the tire wear isn't as much of an issue.
Yeah, Hilbrand's definitely feeling a little bit of the pressure here from Briss, as Briss is right on the tail of that Phenom Paint Shop 92 machine coming out of turn 2 onto the back straightaway. And, you know, I think Hilbrands is definitely familiar with this situation. He's not exactly going to be, you know, in an unfamiliar place as far as, you know, what do I do in this situation? He's going to be pretty comfortable battling it out here with Howie. Howie's going to be, you know, very cautious. He's not going to play dirty or anything like that and try and get his nose underneath you and you know, and send you spinning around. He's not that kind of driver, and I really respect Howie for that. He's been like that all season long. We have never, I could go back every single broadcast and spend however many hours that I've sat here and broadcasted to you folks and try and find a single incident where Howie intentionally has put someone out of a race or anything like that, and I would not be able to do it. So looks like, though, we've got a little bit of an incident here from Michael Keithley out of turn 2, and oh boy, it looks like that left front is scrunched up a little bit. It's scraping the ground there quite significantly, Gareth. I'm not sure if he's got some suspension damage to that front end or what the case might be, but it's definitely not looking good for Michael Keithley here.
Yeah, it almost looks like he's really scraped it, you know, almost deflated that tire. We know that that's most likely not the case. It's probably a suspension issue, but it's very unlikely or unusual to see it on that left side of the car, because the right side would be the outside wall. So you'd almost wonder if he's actually hit someone, and he was very close to Scott Shire at the time, but I'm not sure if that was if there was anything untoward happening there, as we didn't see a caution, we didn't see a spin, kept it very clean and just went onto the grass in the tri-oval. So I'm not sure. There's Scott Shire just behind, coming underneath, and oh, just a little bit of a spin, and potentially it was just the grass that caused that. Yeah, it's almost like the suspension just almost collapsed as he hit the bump right there. And yeah, just, wow, that's not that's not at all what you want to see. That's really really unfortunate for Michael Keithley there. That's not how you want to end a race. But look, we're going to go back, and Scott Shire has just passed Sean Williams for the 6th place position. So, or for the 5th place position, sorry. So, great news for him, but yeah, just unfortunate for Michael Keithley there.
Yeah, really surprising too that level of contact, you know, caused that much damage. It really didn't seem like that, you know, that kind of hop and a skip from the car would cause that to do that to the car, but yeah, really surprising that he made enough damage to that car that he's going to have to bring it down to pit road, and that's going to unfortunately be the end of
Sorry, Mason. I just wanna say Nicholas Lovell is in the pits.
As well, yes, I was just gonna get to that here. He's went off track just a moment ago. Let's spool up a replay here and see exactly what happened on this incident here with the 37 machine a little bit sideways out of turn 4. In the same exact scenario here for Nicholas Lovell, but he was able to avoid going full bore through the infield and able to keep it away from that kind of, well, dip, I guess you could say, in the grass in between where the roads are there, the pit road entry or whatever, service roads.
It's the Legends Oval, yeah. It's like, you know that, the tiny little
Yes,
cars that go on there. Yeah.
yes, I remember. So, yeah, I don't know, Gareth. I think that section of the track, turn 4, definitely seeming to get a little bit more slick here for drivers. I don't know if it's particularly getting slick there or what the case might be. I know that it's getting a little bit later in some of these drivers' stints, a little over halfway at this point, but, you know, you got to start to wonder, even as we're still just a little bit further away before we see that sun completely set and the lights turn on here. So, you know, I can't imagine that the track is getting hotter. I would almost assume that it's probably getting colder at this point, given where the sun is at this point in time. I don't know if iRacing is that in-depth as far as its simulation of that, but I can only imagine that it's not doing a whole lot, given that, you know, it's not exactly noon sim time and it's not baking over the track right now.
No, it should definitely be cooling down, but it is a bit weird, the transition, because you go from the very steep 20 degrees of banking in the corners to about a 9-degree banking in the tri-oval, and I think it's about 12 on the backstretch, so it's not as bad, which is why you typically see, and why we have seen a couple more loose moments coming out of turn 4, and it's kind of an awkward. You could almost see there as Hillbrands came out of 4 that there's like almost like a little bit of a hill, like you just crest up and then it dips down, and I think that's just where some of these cars are getting a little bit loose coming out of the exit of 4. But Nicholas Lovell, I think, came in deliberately because he already had that, like, even if he didn't get any damage, he already had that slow position, so wanting to get down, get on a different strategy and try something different, because he doesn't want to let Jaden Hopp get too far away for that 3rd place title. But on board at the moment with Sean Williams, and he's being hunted down by Nicholas Coruscant. So yeah, this is the closest battle on track at the moment, and there's only 0.2 of a second in it.
Yeah, it's really surprising too. You know, it's kind of reached a plateau as far as the separation of this field, and I say plateau, but it's kind of, well, frankly, yeah, I think it's kind of reached its maximum where you're not really seeing drivers start to get a huge gain on anybody here. It's almost kind of evened out here in a sense, but even as we're looking at battles for 3rd place between Tony Hillbrands and Patrick Colby, you know, as drivers are battling it out, I mean, it's only going to help drivers ahead of them, you know, build an even greater gap. But these two, not oh boy, a little bit of a wall tap there out of turn 4 from Hillbrands. That's definitely going to slow him down there just a little bit. Patrick Colby having to check up on that one, make sure he doesn't get into that 92 machine and cause that wreck to happen, even make it a worse incident rather. But Colby backing off here just a little bit, but coming out of turn 2 on the back straightaway, going to bring that gap back down just a little bit and retry to get down onto the inside here through 3 and 4. But yeah, Gareth, I mean, with about, I'd say 10 to 20 laps before we see our first driver make his way down into the pits for our official fuel run here, I mean, what's going to be interesting is how drivers are going to use this cooler track to their advantage, knowing that they can kind of be a little bit more aggressive than they normally would when the track temperatures are a little bit less than ideal, is what I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. And You know, I, I don't know. What I can say at the moment. Sorry for the little noise there, but yeah, what I can say at the moment is you know, it's looking it's looking pretty good. Tony's fall off is actually just something I've more or less come to realize just now is Tony in the past has not had a huge amount of um, success when it comes to making those tires last a great distance, but I don't think I've ever seen Tony Hilbrands with the amount of fall off he's having on the tires as he has so far tonight, or what it seems to be. So I'm not sure what exactly is happening there, but the reason why I bring that up is because, you know, Dawn Hilbrands was asking where Tony needs to finish to keep second. And I had a look just briefly, and as long as Tony Hilbrands finishes in, I believe, the top 15 or so, he should be able to lock down second. So he should have second pretty much guaranteed, as I believe we have about 14 cars on the field, and not all of them took the green flag. So Dawn, I believe Tony Hilbrands has locked away second, as well as Howie Briss locking away first. The big question, championship-wise, is between Hop and Lovell, which, as it stands, unfortunately, Lovell had that little bit of a loose moment coming out of fourth, so Hop looking very strong in first place. And, you know, Mason, I do want to say, I don't think I've ever seen such dominance out of Jaden Hop till now.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Jaden really hasn't had a moment, really in the past few races to really shine here in that 81 DeWalt machine. Really kind of having, not necessarily down on his luck, but just kind of having some tough races in the past few that we've seen him at. Last time we saw him at a road course was at Long Beach a couple weeks ago, where he finished 15th, and I think that was kind of a real bummer for him, having not shown up the next week at Laguna. But prior to that, Auto Club, he came home 4th. Nashville, he came home 4th there. And kind of looking at his record here, you know, a lot of his finishes where he's been in that kind of top 5 seem to be almost always in that 4th place spot, just outside of that top 3. And, you know, Jaden is a really strong driver. We know that he's capable of being up there with the fast guys that are up there in the top 3 and so on, obviously, clearly, as he's, you know, finishing in those top 5 spots, but really hasn't had an opportunity to be able to get up there and fend for a spot up there in the top 3. So here tonight, you know, he's making a statement and he is going to stick with it, coming home with, hopefully, after, you know, still just under 100 laps left to go here before we see the checkered flag. But yeah, I think Jaden is definitely looking for a win here and is off to a very, very good start. I mean, he qualified in that 2nd place spot, so he definitely had good pace going into tonight's race, and now he's just got to keep with it and keep that momentum going. The real question here for Jaden, as far as, you know, the race win goes, is whether or not he's going to be able to hold off Howie Briss if Howie Briss is able to track down that 81 machine. And based on what I'm seeing here, Gareth, it looks like Jaden is just barely able to keep a little bit of a faster pace than Howie at this moment. Maybe saving those tires a little bit more, maybe just able to utilize this clean air that he has around him and keep this car going as long as he possibly can. And also knowing the fact that we're into the late stage of our fuel run here for these drivers. So incredible work here for Jaden. He's got the short run speed. He's got the long run speed. Will he have the speed here tonight to come home with the win?
Yeah, it's going to be the big determining factor is definitely going to be the pit stops. We've talked about it several different times and across several different races, but you know, the pit stops are always key. I wouldn't say always key, but they do play quite a big role, especially under green flag. It's really a cat and mouse game of when you come, when you don't. But as the first position driver, typically you would say to stay out as long as you can. And when you see the 2nd place driver come in this case Howie Briss, you'd then tell Jaden Hopp to come in and take their stop for fresh tyres and full of fuel the very next lap to avoid any potential undercuts due to fuel strategy or anything like that. But it'll be interesting to see how that sort of pans out as we go. The sun is dropping. You can see it's fairly obvious that the sun is coming down quite slowly, actually. I thought the sun would come down a little bit quicker than it has been, but definitely coming down now. You can see the nice yellow orangey sort of glow. I'm not sure how you would really which one, if it's more of an orange or more of a yellow. I think it's more of a yellow at the moment, but yeah, you know, at the moment Tony Hillbrands is about a second away from Patrick Colby. Patrick Colby able to stick in there. We haven't seen Patrick Colby doing or getting himself into like these top 3 spots like we have done this week in the past few weeks. So it's nice to see him keeping up there and having, can I say, long run speed at the moment, because Patrick Colby is known for one with short run speed and getting the car quite loose and not having the tire wear. So I'm sure or the tire saving ability. So I'm sure he's loving the fact that the sun is going down at the moment.
Yeah, and speaking of drivers getting ready, or well, getting tired of the tires that they're currently on and coming down into the pits, Tony Hillbrand's going to be the first driver to make that decision to come down and get a fresh set of good gears as well as fill up on fuel. And I'm sure it's going to be a train of drivers coming in right after him starting the pit cycles here. But yeah, Patrick Colby having a relatively good night here up in the top 3 at this moment. And yeah, he's definitely showing his long run speed here tonight in the number 9 machine. As you mentioned, Patrick is pretty well known for his short run speed. He's definitely very comfortable with putting that car up there into the mix of things very early into the run. But as we all know, that sometimes can have a huge impact into your long run speed. It can definitely hurt yourself later once you know, 30, 40, 50 laps into your run, your tires are cooked off, or you probably already cooked them off at that point if you're driving as aggressively as we see some drivers do in certain races. But yeah, Patrick Colby definitely doing a phenomenal job here tonight, and hopefully he continues this trend here as lap 53 of 134. Things are definitely coming down to the wire here. Well, not necessarily the wire, but definitely coming down to getting yourself ready for your next stint. As, let's see here, if I'm kind of doing my broadcaster terrible math here, it's going to be a 2-stop race if I do recall correctly. And
yeah, it will be.
That's going to be, well, some drivers it may be a challenge. Some drivers it's going to be a piece of cake. We're just going to have to wait and see what drivers have in store. But look at this. We've got Patrick Colby, Scott Shire, as well as Nicholas Corcel duking it out here, and even a little bit of lap traffic with Nicholas Lovell trying to squeeze in through these drivers, unlap himself, and get back into the mix of being on the lead lap here. But yeah, kind of interesting seeing the spread that we have currently.
Yeah, and Mason, I just want to quickly apologize to you. I didn't mean, I don't know if that came across as a little bit undermining, so I apologize for kind of interrupting you a couple times there.
You're okay. You're okay.
Yeah. You know, Howie Briss has just come down. Jaden Hopp, our leader, has come down pit road. Nicholas Corcel coming down. Scott Shire coming down. Patrick Colby coming down. What just happened there? Was that a heavy lockup?
He was
from the South Patch?
he got a little loose coming through 4, and then
that's
just locked it up real good. So Corcel not having the best entry down into pit road. Luckily, he was able to, fortunately he didn't slide it across the commitment line. He stopped it before. But yeah, that's definitely going to have a huge impact on his stop here. We're going to have Sean Williams, the 89 machine, making his way now down through pit road as well. So that's going to put James Coulibaly, Michael Ashmore, Jaden Hopp, Nicholas Lovell out here all on the lead lap. And based on from what I'm seeing here, Jaden Hopp is going to retain his lead here, going once we see drivers make their way down through the pits and everyone's completed their stops here. I think Jaden will stay out in front of the pack with Howie Briss just a little over 3.5 seconds behind him at this moment. So Jaden's still doing a phenomenal job of keeping himself up here in front of the pack, and Tony Hilbrand's, with his strategy of coming in a little bit earlier than the rest of the pack, he is going to be in that third place spot once things are all said and done. But Nicholas Lovell, I got to put out here as well, he came in lap 28, so he's going to have, I mean, some laps to work with, but he's going to be probably a lot slower than the rest of the pack, Jaden Hopp having already passed him here. So I don't know, Nicholas is definitely going to be on an interesting kind of strategy here now that he's back on the lead lap. I mean, what would you do if you were a Nicholas Lovell situation? I mean, you came in lap 28, drivers are starting to come out on fresh set of tires, you have essentially another stop that you have to come into the pits. What do you do in this situation?
I'm not entirely sure you can do a whole lot. Like, Nicholas Lovell, just very unfortunate sort of a situation, just got a little bit loose out of 4, and yeah. So I'm not sure what he can really do there apart from just trying his best to stick with the leader. My guess would be, you try to stay as the first car a lap down, hope a caution comes out, and when it does, you get the lucky dog and come back on the lead lap, because at the moment, it's almost looking like he's going to have to pit 3 times, and everyone else in the field is only really going to have to pit twice. So it's not looking in Lovell's favor at the moment, because, yeah, he's basically cut in half what the other drivers have managed to do on a stint. So this is not looking very good for Nicholas Lovell at the moment.
Yeah, unfortunately not. And Nicholas had a good start to tonight's race, I think, as well before his incident. I mean, able to kind of work through some pretty intense packs there at the start of the race, but ultimately having that little bit of a moment out of turn 4 that was going to cost him quite a bit of time. And unfortunately, I think going to cost him really a good finish for tonight's race, which I'm sure that he was hoping for. A lot of these drivers are going to be hoping for here tonight. And actually, I got to put out a note here as well, Gareth. I just kind of realized to myself that Aaron Smith actually didn't start tonight's race. I don't know how I didn't notice that earlier, but the 70 machine not opting to start tonight's race, I think just showing up here for qualifying and for practice and just hanging out with the guys. But yeah, really great season for Aaron Smith, but I think that was going to be the end of the 70 Machines season a few races ago. But just hanging out here with his fellow teammates and drivers before they end off their season. And looking forward into 2023, I think Aaron Smith did intend to make a comeback and potentially have a strong season for next year. But yeah, at this moment in today's race, I think Jaden Hopp has definitely, at this point, walked away with the lead. Howie Briss still trying to track down that 81 machine, and ultimately, I think at this point, looking at time, looking at the gap time here, it seems to be that Howie is kind of backed off here. He's really not trying to overcook those tires on that 97 machine, or really trying to track him down at all here, probably. Just trying to keep himself in this second place spot and click off laps here. Don't want to do anything too risky for no real gain, especially when you already have the championship won, and there's no reason to, try and track someone down that you don't need to.
Yeah, I think Howie Briss is just kind of, running his race, like you said, just turning laps and just enjoying the limelight, really, out here at the moment. I mean, not the same can be said for Jaden Hopp, as he continues to put on a clinic at the moment. I'm sure enjoying the limelight, absolutely, but more to the point of just continuing to push. I mean, you can see it in the lap times, still getting, 31 and a half, less than 31 and a half seconds around this mile and a half speedway. So really putting on a show at the moment. The rest of the field a few tenths slower. The only one to really match Jaden Hopp for hill times at the moment are the likes of Tony Hillbrands. Actually, not at the moment. Sorry, that's their best lap times. That's my mistake. No one is matching him for lap times at the moment. He's Jaden Hopp definitely putting on the clinic at the moment. So, yeah, just in front of him, you can see that's James Coulibaly, and Coulibaly is not doing too badly either. I'm sure Jaden was thinking that he might get out of the way, but Coulibaly's now starting to gap Jaden Hopp, so there's some pace in that 22 machine as well.
Yeah, we're going to have to see, as the race progresses on here. And James Coulibaly is actually looking at timing and scoring here. He's going to be a lap down at this moment. So, Coulibaly in the 22 Verizon machine has seen some good races in this season. And tonight, I think ultimately the, drivers not really able to keep themselves in a draft with one another. There's not a whole lot of drivers out here in tonight's race. There was a total of 13 that started, and currently only 12 still out on track. So, not exactly a whole lot of opportunities for drivers to get up into packs and, form up these drafts and all sorts of other things. But at this point in the race, I'm kind of losing my words here, Gareth, as I'm talking, but essentially what I'm getting at here, folks, is it's been a long race so far, 70 laps that we've turned, and given the number of drivers that we have, it's very tough to keep this a close race for anyone. And a lot of these drivers, some of them may have put in hours of practice here, maybe minutes of practice. Others, maybe none. It really just depends on the type of driver you are and how comfortable you are with certain tracks. I'm certain some drivers wouldn't want to come into a race without having practice. Say if it was the Nürburgring, that would definitely be quite the challenge. Actually, speaking of which, Tony, if you're watching this, the Nürburgring, that should definitely be on the schedule.
Oh, please no.
I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding.
I think I speak for all the drivers when I say please no. Yeah, the Nürburgring holds a special place, and I don't think the ARCA wants to go there. But, one thing that amazes me, James Miller just set the fastest lap of the race. Now, James, I'm not sure what's happened to him. He, usually a very, very solid driver. Unfortunately missed the grid, so had to start from pit lane, and then had another issue a little bit later on, so down 7 laps, but able to get the fastest lap of the race at the moment with a 31-second flat. So that's incredibly impressive at the moment. That's about a 10th quicker than Jaden Hopp, your race leader's best lap time. So, James Miller, about, I think, 7 or 8 laps down, but showing that he still has a lot of pace in his car as well. But yeah, all of the drivers at the moment really stretched out. The only battle at the moment, I would say, is Nicholas Lovell and Patrick Colby, and Colby really closing that gap to Nicholas Lovell to be in the 5th position. But that's not really a huge battle either, because Nicholas Lovell has pit so much earlier than the rest of the field, and he's actually just about to head into his pit window, being off strategy at the moment, last pitting on lap 28, as they're on lap 74 heading into 75 in any minute when Jaden Hopp crosses the line again. So that's going to be getting close to Nicholas Lovell's window of coming down pit lane, but Patrick Colby making that pass very nice and easy the difference in tire wear, I'm sure, paying dividends for him there.
Yeah, Patrick Colby definitely having the faster pace right now, given the slightly less used tires. He's definitely about halfway through his tire wear at this, or well, his fuel window / tire window at this moment. So, you know, a lot of these drivers are going to be that are, well, down a lap or down pit strategy, whatever the case may be, and that's going to be Nicholas Lovell, and that's also going to be, well, it was Michael Keithley, who did come down into the pits here just a few laps ago. Thought someone else was just in there a second ago, but it appears that my brain is playing tricks on me. Anyway, I think there was another, I think it was Michael Keithley. Anyway, Keithley is out of the pits here, or not out of the pits, but he has taken it out of the pits, and he is no longer going to be racing in tonight's event, unfortunately. So that's 2 drivers down tonight that we have seen taken out of pit road, or out of tonight's race, and going to be watching from the pits. It's very unfortunate to see here at Las Vegas, and given that we really, we haven't seen any drivers get into one another, no real major contacts between anyone. It's all just been lone car incidents, just the track being a very, well, sort of unforgiving here towards the very beginning of tonight's race. But as we're lap 78 of 134, the lights are fully on here at Las Vegas, and track temperatures are now probably down to as optimal as they could be at this point for drivers. Grip is going to come up. Oh boy, a little bit of a wobble and a wag here from Nicholas Lovell as he comes out of turn number 2 onto the back straightaway, right as I'm trying to cue in as the track's getting a little bit better. But Nicholas Lovell also here kind of fighting these very, very old tires here, and you can see that from the rear end of that 37 machine.
Yeah, and you can see Sean Williams there making that pass using all of the apron. This is one of those tracks where it's a very steep transition. You can really see the car shift around when they come down onto that apron in the tri-oval. But definitely worth it, because you make the track quite a lot shorter than what it otherwise would be if you took the normal racing line, stayed on the track. So to make moves, definitely the ideal way to go around. Probably not something you want to do all the time though, as tire wear will be a little bit more if you continue to use that tri-oval runoff area, I guess is what you would call it. I think I called it the apron just before, so we'll call it the apron again. But yeah, thank you, Mason. You know what, Mason, to bring it back to you, it's been all season long. Ever since I've joined you, I've talked about it. Gonna have to talk about it again, because you said you'd take some from your kid. Take that out of context. It's gonna be really funny. Where are those Sour Patch Kids? Have you finally had some? You said you were going to.
Yes, I did finagle them from my child's candy stash, and I was able to enjoy me some Sour Patch Kids. Unfortunately, though, for my favorite paint scheme here, the Sour Patch Kids number 7 machine here of Nicholas Casserole, he went off track here just a moment ago, and he's going to find himself down here to 8th place at this moment. I mean, he's still up 3 spots from where he started, so not exactly having the worst night possible, but he just went off track just a little bit ago, and I'm not sure if that was right out of the same spot where we see Nicholas Lovell as well as, let's see here, Michael Keithley, both went off track there into the infield across the grass. But Casserole here able to keep his car clean and free from any damage that I can tell. It doesn't seem like he's got any suspension damage or anything like that. So yeah, I think it all just comes down here to some drivers' luck and ability to correct, these slides once they start to feel them. And sometimes you really can't. Once it starts, it's kind of too late.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you, Mason. I was thinking about some sort of casserole joke I could think of, but, like something about like "Hurry, mum, it's in the oven" or something like that. But I don't. That probably just shows um my point of I don't think I've ever had a casserole. Not because
Oh,
it
you're
hasn't been
missing
offered
out.
to me, but just because I haven't had one. Like that's my own bad. I'm sure I'm missing out big time, and
Let me,
yeah, I'm gonna have to make one at some point for myself. I think before next season, I'm gonna have to make myself a casserole.
well, let me tell you, Thanksgiving is coming up here soon, and it's gonna be, you know, green bean casserole. I'm sure that there are there's gonna be a lot of people that agree with me. Is probably just the number one dish to have at a Thanksgiving dinner. That and
I thought,
potentially
I
cheesy
thought
potatoes.
turkey. I thought turkey was your number one dish at Thanksgiving.
Debatable.
Oh, really? Okay, that's
It's
interesting.
it's also preference. Some people like it, some people don't like it. Some people like dark meat, some people like white meat. It's all preference, but ultimately when I'm going to Thanksgiving and I see that green bean casserole, you can almost guarantee that I'm going to have a plate or a bowl that is just completely filled with it as
Whoa!
carousel. Oh boy.
Carousel.
Carousel. I don't know why I said carousel. Thomas Sewell
Yeah,
here.
He's gone from being a driver to food to
An amusement ride.
amusement park ride. I mean, Nicholas can do it all here, folks.
A man of many, many talents. But Thomas Sewell, he is saying it's Core Essel. Is that correct?
Coruscant, yeah. I believe I was saying it right a couple of times that I pronounced it. I hope so, but Thomas Sewell coming in the spectator area trying to help us out with the Coruscant casserole and carousel situation. um Brent's saying we need to stop talking about him, so probably a good idea as we'll switch over. And it looks like some of the stops, there are some second stops coming in, or I think Nicholas just came in a little bit early because of feeling those tires as getting loose a little bit here. But we're going to look back at Hop as he continues to really monster his way around this track ahead of the field.
Yeah, Jaden just showing absolute dominance here tonight and not showing any signs of letting up here at all. Going into lap 90 of 134, I mean, less than 40 laps left to go here before we see that checkered flag fly. And again, Jaden is he's just driving like it's a Sunday cruise here at Las Vegas and just enjoying his time here. And Howie Briss, Tony Hillbrand's second and third place behind them. I mean, they're both kind of in the same ballpark here. They're both just cruising along, just enjoying their time here, just clicking off laps. And it's, frankly, about as ideal for these drivers up here in the top three as it can get as far as race conditions go. I mean, you know, granted, some drivers may be hoping for a little bit more beating and banging, so to speak, you know, in these final few laps that we have here or going into the final stage of tonight's race. But, you know, if you're in a situation where, you know, you're like Jaden Hopp and you're trying to secure a third place spot in the championship, you want to have these optimal race situations where you don't have anyone on your tail. You don't have anyone coming up on you and trying to, you know, get in your mirrors and cause you to make a mistake and slip up and maybe bin your car or whatever the case may be. Ultimately, at the end of the day, if you're in the top three, I think this is what you would prefer to see, but sometimes it's not what you always want to see, if that makes any sense. But right now, Gareth, I mean, frankly, through this whole field, this is what we're seeing. We're not really seeing any real battles happening at all out on track. It's pretty much just drivers just clicking off laps and getting themselves ready for their next stints here.
Yeah, you know, I did say at the top of the show I thought we were going to see some more two wide with the progressive banking, and we have seen quite a few moves on the outside that you wouldn't typically see at other tracks. But yeah, it's kind of definitely been stretched out at the moment, and you know, um, I'm just gonna say that I was mowing the lawn around my house, like, I don't know, not too long ago, a couple days ago, and I came across a bunny rabbit, and that thing just absolutely shot out of the bush, and it just sprinted across. I've never seen anything like it, and it's almost like that bunny rabbit has become Jaden Hop somehow, because he is just out of here, and he is just hop, skipped, and jumped his way to 8.5 seconds clear of Howie Briss. So there's something just amazing that I haven't seen from. I mean, I don't even think you've seen. Really, Jaden Hop putting on this much of a clinic in all my races that I've watched. I haven't seen him perform quite like this. So there's something special about this track that's getting the most out of some of these drivers. Like, you know, like you're showing now, you're showing Scott Shire on screen. Scott Shire on screen, and he's in fourth place. He's in one of his better spots at the moment, and showing more longer run pace than we've seen out of him as well. So some of these drivers really turning it up to 11 coming here to the championship race at Las Vegas.
You know, Gareth, I was really curious about where you were going with that analogy at first. I was, you know, given that, you know, an Aussie from down under, I was almost half expecting like a shotgun or something to be in that situation. But then I remembered that you guys can't own guns down there, as far as I'm aware. But
oh, if you're on a farm, you can,
okay.
but it's like really difficult to get one. I personally do not own a firearm, so yeah.
So I have been standard corrected. Okay. So either way, that was an interesting analogy, but yeah, I gotta agree with you that Jaden is, yeah, I think definitely pulled out of here with this first place spot and just showed up here tonight and just had the motivation to win and just pulled it out of his magical hat. Pulled that bunny rabbit right out of Australia, right into the 81 machine, and he's just using all of that energy that he can, going into what is now going to be about 36, 37 laps before we see the checkered flag fly. And man, just about.
You know.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, Mason. I was just gonna say, you know, Dawn coming in chat and talking a little bit as well, but you know, it's funny because only I think the night before or the night after, somewhere around when I was doing that mowing and the rabbit, I saw a group of foxes on the road just while we're looking at Scott Shire. For some reason, it came to me with the fox paint scheme, but there were. I've never seen it before. There was like a group of foxes having a communal meeting. There was like 4 of them in the middle of the road. Have you ever seen that before? It was so fascinating to me. Like, they were almost like a small community. I didn't run them over. Okay, I will have you know, I'm very nice. But yeah, it was really crazy to me.
Oh boy.
Sorry.
No, you're totally fine. Patrick Colby here having a little bit of a moment here going into pit road, it looks like. But I think the closest thing, Gareth, that I can relate that to is when I've lived in a couple different apartment complexes, and some of them would have herds. And I say this literally.
A herd in a complex? What?
Of cats. A herd of cats. I'm not exaggerating when I say this. There were literal herds of cats. It became a problem to the point where they had to get pest control to come and get rid of them. But
hopefully they didn't belong to someone, because
they were definitely outdoor cats. They were born outdoors. They were not anyone's pets, as far as we could tell. But what I would sometimes see, because I would sometimes get up in the wee hours of the morning, or I would be up in the wee hours of the night, and I would look out the window, and you could just, if you had a light on or something, or there was a light on outside, you could see the glint of just like dozens of pairs of eyes in the tree line or bushes, and I don't know what it was, but they would just all just be gathered around, just hanging out. I don't know what they're doing. They're probably hunting, trying to get mice or whatever, scavenge for food. But yeah, that's the closest thing that I could relate to seeing a gathering of animals.
That's pretty scary. That sounds really scary. Oh man, especially because cat's eyes. I mean, obviously you would know, but cat's eyes at night, man, they glow real bright. You got green, you got yellow, and yeah, they got freaky eyes, man. I don't.
I used to have a pet cat, rest his soul. His name was Manny, and yeah, he was a purely black cat. And his fur was basically jet black. You couldn't really see him at night, and he liked to sleep in bed with me. And sometimes I would just wake up to a furry mass on my chest, and his paw hitting me in the face, and I would open my eyes, and there's just eyes, just literal eyes, nothing else. I can't see anything else but just these glowing little eyes, because yeah, I don't know. I love black cats. They're my favorite. But yeah, it was just always kind of trippy, just being like, oh my god, what is this?
Oh yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, that would freak me out. I've never owned a cat. I've only had dogs, but yeah, that sounds freaky to me. It's just not being able to see anything, and then all of a sudden, I mean, cats are so funny though. I've seen so many, videos online of cats, because of course you have. They literally swarm the internet, but they're such funny animals.
I love how we've digressed from racing here to talking about cats. It's
well.
We've got the hot topics here tonight with the VRL Cup Series here, folks. It's the championship race, and we're talking about cats. Let's go.
Absolutely. Scott Shire's coming in for his pit, and yep. So he's going to come down. Man, we need to get that camera guy a new job, I think, because that's a terrible camera angle, that one.
Definitely going to be hiring. We're going to be hiring a new camera crew for next season. That's for certain.
Dawn Hillbrands with a 70-pound German Shepherd named Jackal jumping on you at night, waking up face to face. That's really scary.
The funny part is I can visualize that too, and just the expression on their face of just like, hi, you're awake now. I love shepherds. They're great animals. They're so great. Oh man.
I must admit, probably my next dog. Hopefully, my dog right now isn't listening to me, but my next dog is gonna be I'm looking at probably getting a German Shepherd. They're beautiful dogs.
Beautiful dogs, very intelligent. And yeah, very. They will obey you and
loyal.
Respect. Yes, they're very loyal. Great dogs all around. But getting a little bit into the action here, what we've seen as we've been babbling here a little bit about various topics. Just kind of, again, just not really seeing a whole lot of battles happening out on track. So, we've had a moment here to kind of get off topic and talk about other subjects. And while that's all happened, not a whole lot has changed. We've seen some drivers come down through the pits. Jaden Hopp has yet to come down through pit road and get his final set of tires as well as fuel. But I have to imagine that when he does, he will be able to retain his lead, as right now Jaden Hopp currently sits a whopping 48 seconds ahead of the rest of the field. And get this, if Jaden Hopp, as he's doing here right now, comes down through the pit road, once he comes out, he is still going to be in the same exact spot where he was. And he's going to be at least assuming at least 3 seconds ahead of Howie Briss. Depending on how his stop goes here, which right now it seems to be smooth sailing here for the 81 machine.
That camera guy, honestly. Just tell him to walk around the track a little bit. Damn. Yeah, I'm sure Jaden Hopp's pit crew is going to work lightning to try and keep him ahead of Howie Briss. As Howie Briss comes round, Jaden Hopp is coming out. So that'll actually be closer than I thought it was going to be, but you might be right with the 3-second gap still. Oh, here comes Howie Briss. 8 seconds, 7 seconds, 6 seconds, 5. It's coming down very, very quickly as Howie Briss has that pace, but there's down to 4 seconds, and we're just about to calm back down as Jaden Hopp has gained the speed back and pretty much right on the money, Mason. So I don't know what you're talking about earlier with your broadcaster math, so it might not be so good, but 3.5 seconds almost exactly between the two of them. So that's worked out pretty much perfectly for Jaden Hopp, because now he also has quite a bit fresher tires. Looks like James Miller just behind had a little bit of a tussle with the wall there, and came off, well, not necessarily, well, still second best, but not as badly as it could have been, so that's good for him. Nicholas Lovell looks like they're just on the back of Scott Shire for 4th. Nicholas Lovell still needing to pit once more to make it to the end on that differing strategy. But so the biggest, or the closest battle I should say we'll have at the moment is going to be Patrick Colby and Sean Williams, which will be for the 6th place spot. Now, we have seen Sean Williams is a very consistent driver. Patrick Colby a little bit more aggressive typically in the races we've seen in the past. So this one should be interesting, as tyre wear not as much of a factor, but we have seen snippets of Sean Williams really turn it up the heat when push comes to shove before. So this could work out to be quite a good battle for 6th position here.
Yeah, it looks like Patrick Colby has the pace to be able to track down Sean Williams as we're working our way down the back straightaway, heading into turns 3 and 4 with 19 laps left to go. You know, it's going to be interesting to see whether or not Colby is going to bring it up to the rear end of Sean Williams and attempt to make a pass here or not this late in the race, if he's going to have enough time here. I'm sure 19 laps, under half a second, he's got plenty of time. It's just a matter of, you know, if he's going to have enough underneath him to be able to push that car to bring that up to him. But Nicholas Lovell starting to get under fire here from the 89 of Sean Williams, going through 3 and 4. Williams down onto the inside, making the pass up into 5th place here. So Sean Williams, like you said, Gareth, turning up the burners here in the final less than 20 laps to go, and going to be looking to work his way even further up this field. But even if he's looking to do so, Williams has about 3.5 seconds between himself and Scott Shire, sitting in that 4th place spot. And with 17 laps left to go, I don't know if 3 seconds is going to be something that you are going to be able to whittle down very easily here in the final few laps of this race, unless we see that dreaded yellow flag come out here. But Gareth, I mean, for some drivers, I think that caution, if we see one here, might actually be a blessing in disguise.
Oh, absolutely. You know, you've got plenty of drivers. James Coulibaly at the moment is actually fighting with Michael Ashmore, just looking at this now, to be the first car 1 lap down, just in case the caution actually comes out. So, or actually, maybe not, as Nicholas Corsell might actually have gone a lap down as well. But, yeah, James Coulibaly and Michael Ashmore having a much more heated battle than I expected to see. I've got to be honest with you, Mason. I didn't expect to see this out of these two drivers heading into tonight. But here it is. It's happening in front of us, and Michael Ashmore showing quite a bit more pace than what we've seen in the past as well. So, you know, I've said this so many times, but whether it's under the lights, whether it's Las Vegas, whether it's a mixture of the two, some drivers that we have seen in the past who've been not necessarily, you know, I wouldn't want to say, you know, they're slow or anything like that, because they're certainly not. They're much faster than anything I would be able to do. But typically drivers who we would see around the mid-pack are showing a lot of potential here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. We're riding on board here with Michael Ashmore in the number 98 machine as he's closing in on the 22 of James Koulibaly. Trying to see what he can do here. A little bit of a wag there. He gets down just below the white line, going out of turn 4, getting onto that section of the track where the banking kind of tapers off, or rather dramatically tapers off. It levels off, rather. And folks, I can't exaggerate how much it unsettles the car when you do that. When you get when one side of the car is on a level surface and the other is on a banked surface, and you're full throttle on the gas, it is a recipe for disaster. And Michael Ashmore, very impressive work, professional job of getting that car corrected and continuing with his race here. Great work from Michael Ashmore. But also taking a moment here to say thank you and shout out Don Hillbrands, saying it's been a great year, have had a blast talking with all of you, and look forward to next year. Hope everyone has a wonderful holiday season. Thank you, Don. I hope that you have a phenomenal Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever holiday that you are celebrating this year. I know everyone is different, so whatever season or whatever holiday that you happen to be celebrating this year, enjoy it. Enjoy the time with your family, friends, so on and so forth. We at Team Goon Squad want to thank each and every single one of you who have tuned in for these races throughout the 2022 season, whether it's been with Velocity Racing League or any other leagues that we've covered here on Team Goon Squad throughout the 2022 season. It has been incredible. This has been the second year of Team Goon Squad doing broadcasting, and obviously has been the busiest year for Team Goon Squad for broadcasting. So without you folks, it wouldn't have been possible. So thank you all for tuning in every single week and enjoying the action. And make sure, get yourselves ready for next year, because it is going to be a good one. 10 laps left to go here, Gareth. We are closing in on the final few laps of tonight's race, and yeah, I don't know if we're really going to see anything significant happen with this field. We've stayed green all 125 laps that we've seen here so far, and only a few laps left. And for Jaden Hopp, Howie Briss, Tony Hillbrands, it's all smooth sailing from here.
Yeah, it looks like the race is kind of. I'm trying to think of a better way to say run its course, considering we are on a course, but that's not really. It's not. Nothing's coming to my brain at the moment. Nicholas Lovell off track. Hopefully geez, off track for a long time. Whoa. Not sure what happened with Lovell. That looks like quite a bit of damage on that left front. Has Lovell taken a trip through the grass once again and potentially stuffed that suspension?
Ooh.
Yeah, that's looking very. That might have been the transitioning to the banking, but looking not looking too solid. No, not looking like too much issue trying to bring it around just to finish off the race. But yeah, there's been some unfortunate events happening for Nicholas Lovell in this race so far, and unfortunately not able to keep anywhere near Jaden Hopp's dominant performance tonight. So Jaden looking to take away that third position in the championship from Nicholas Lovell. So that was going to be the biggest talking point, aside from, you know, Howie Briss taking the championship and all the rest of it. But that was going to be our biggest battle, and unfortunately has tapered off quite a bit in this one due to the unfortunate circumstances surrounding Nicholas Lovell and having some issues there. But Patrick Colby and Sean Williams are going to be by far and away our closest battle on track at the moment. This is for 6th position. and these drivers are giving it everything right now.
5 laps left to go. I mean, if you aren't giving it everything right now, then I don't know what else you would be doing. I mean, all of these drivers here, they have put on an incredible show here and have done their best to finish as high as they possibly can. I mean, this is a difficult race here, folks, because of the length of the green flag run. This is, not something that we see incredibly often, where we go an entire race without any incidents. I mean, we've obviously seen some drivers get involved in various debacles throughout turn 4 in the infield, but it isn't enough to warrant that yellow flag to come out. It isn't enough to warrant to bring the field back around and get reshuffled or restacked for a restart. So everyone has all been fighting for, pit stop strategies, so on and so forth. And strategies are not always something that you can count on to work in your favor. It sometimes all just comes down to whether or not you have the faster car and you have the better pace. It's really a challenging battle that we can see here. And some drivers, if they had the opportunity to, get a late stage restart or late race restart, it could be a very different finish that we're seeing here tonight. But because we haven't seen that, Jaden Hopp has been able to just drive away with his lead. Howie Briss has been able to fortunately move up into that second place spot and hold it. And Tony Hilbrand's being able to come away with a third place spot. I think all in all here tonight, Gareth, I think a lot of these drivers are going to be relatively satisfied with tonight's race, depending on, which driver you talk to. But I mean, it's a tough race. Going green flag this long and having to really test your long run speed here for all of these drivers. It's been a heck of a race, but the white flag is out, and it is going to be just one lap before we see Jaden Hopp come across that checkered line and take home the win here tonight for the Sin City 200 here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, as the 81 machine makes his way down the back straightaway and into turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, Jaden Hopp is gonna really just walk away with it. I mean, 10-second gap to Howie Briss behind, and lapping everyone up until the 7th position. So Jaden Hopp taking the win relatively easily. Howie Briss going to lock away the championship and the second place spot, and Tony Hilbrands will be in 3rd, just coming over the line now. So this has been a really great race, though. Scott Shire actually closed the gap a lot to Tony Hilbrands in the end there. Unfortunately, not able to really get it done, but closed the gap to less than a second, and Sean Williams will stay ahead of Patrick Colby, and that will be your top 5. But yeah, it's been a fantastic race. Really, one thing we didn't talk about was just how the concentration level was going to be affected. I mean, I know myself, I start, really struggling, especially with green flag pit stops, when you don't have a yellow or something to like calm you down, bring your nerves down, and just relax and get yourself sort of recentered and controlled, and you're not in the zone. But these drivers were constantly under pressure, so even if it was relatively spread out, still asking a lot from these drivers. So great to see them do as much as they did, and yeah, I can't wait for next season.
Yeah, absolutely. It's if this season was anything to go by, I think you should definitely be more than excited for next year. But with that, folks, we're going to go ahead and get into our post-race interviews here tonight. And first driver that we are going to have up here tonight, we're going to do things a little bit different from what we do usually. And since Howie Briss is up here on the podium in that second place spot, we are going to interview Howie last. And we're going to start with Tony Hilbrands first, Jaden Hopp second, and then we will finish out with Howie Briss, our championship winner here for the 2022 season. But up first here tonight, Tony Hilbrands in the number 92 machine, coming home with that third place finish here tonight. Tony, welcome to the booth. Congratulations on your podium here tonight for the season finale here at Las Vegas. Tony, tonight was a, well, interesting race to say the least. I mean, Las Vegas, being in the desert, it's definitely not unusual to see those track temperatures be a little bit higher than usual when that sun is out. But given that we started the race with the sun out and ended under the lights, the track temperatures, the track conditions kind of changing as the race went on. What kind of, I think, well, really the best words that I can use here is, what kind of difficulties do you think not only yourself but other drivers faced towards, well, really throughout this entire race, kind of knowing what we were going to see here with the track conditions changing?
Well, the setup was a little loose tonight, so it was all about managing them tires. So obviously it was pretty bad in the other part with the sun, but it worked in later. I wasn't expecting a green flag run the whole time, but that kind of spread everyone out, so everyone kind of got into a rhythm, and that helped too. I don't know, I kind of was driving a little too hard in the first few laps because Jaden was right on me, and I was trying to keep him there, and then as soon as he passed me, I brushed the wall going into one, and lost so much time, and it kind of messed my car up the rest of that run, and I just kept losing ground the rest of the race. But I'll take third after all that, especially with it going green the whole time. It was, you definitely got to concentrate all race. It would have been nice to have a caution or two just to spice things up. But after this season, kind of just glad to get it over with. I did just finish the points, so I can send you them here if you guys want. Obviously, Howie clinched the championship. Good on him. The rest of the top five went me, Jaden, and Sean. That was the rest of the top five in points.
Well, it was definitely an impressive season as far as the championship goes, and definitely some good battles going for the top three, top five spots going into the final few races. But I mean, Tony, all season long, every time that we've talked to you up here in the booth, you're always wanting to do better, always wanting to see yourself improve every single race. And now that this season has concluded, and now that 36 races underneath your belt here, looking forward into next year, aside from all of your administration duties of managing the VRL Cup Series, what's kind of your goals as a driver, and what do you hope to do better next year for the 92 machine?
I'm hoping to win the championship again. I'm the only two-time winner, so I want to get the third one before anyone else gets another one. Hopefully we get a stronger or a fuller field for the whole season next year, because obviously we got a lot of competition as it is, but especially when we had the bigger fields, there was even more competition, and it's always good to race against the best you can, and it's just more fun that way too. I just need to be more consistent and not get wrecked as much next season, and that'll be what my goal is for next season.
Absolutely. Well, Tony, I wanna thank you for joining us up here in the booth and congratulate you on your third place spot here tonight. Before we let you go here, one final time here before you send it off here tonight, celebrate with your fellow drivers, teammates, and the rest of the VRL League. Anyone that you want to shout out and thank before you go tonight?
As always, everyone who shows up to race, because we can't have this league without people racing. All the fans who watch, because we put these races on so you guys can enjoy. And then obviously you guys, because without you, the people watching can't watch. So yeah, and again, thanks to everyone who ran this season. It was a great season. Hopefully next year we have an even better season, which is the plan. So
absolutely, I love to hear it. Tony, we look forward to seeing you next year, and we look forward to being back here up in the booth and calling the action for you guys again. But thank you for joining us up here in the booth. I know for certain that we will talk to you here in a few short moments, but Tony, for now, thank you for joining us up here, and have a good night, and we will see you next season.
Have a good one, guys.
Absolutely. Alrighty, folks, that was Tony Hillbrands out of the booth, taking home third place here for tonight's race at Las Vegas Motor Speedway for the season finale. Up next, Jaden Hopp, our race winner here tonight, kind of doing things out of order here just a little bit. But Jaden, welcome to the booth. Congratulations on your win here tonight. I'm going to pass you off to Gareth, and we will get started with your post-race interview.
Yeah, okay. All right. Here we go. Jaden, first of all, what did you do? Because you just, I mean, I haven't seen domination like that since Aaron Smith at Coda. So what was going on, man?
Mostly just a lot of turning left and using the throttle. Trying to not turn too much was mostly the biggest thing I was trying to pay attention to.
Well, I mean, certainly you were able to do that. I mean, there's not much else to say, but I did want to ask, what was the reason behind you staying out quite a lot longer than a lot of the other drivers before coming down pit road the final time? Is it because you knew you had that gap and you wanted the tires to be as fresh as possible for the last bit, or was there any particular strategy that you thought of that I didn't know?
No, mostly it was what you said. Keeping the since the gap was so big, I didn't really need to pit as close to them as possible. Like, I believe I was second slower per lap, so if I was 6 seconds ahead, I didn't need to pit for like 6 laps.
Well, I mean, you proved that you were the top dog today, and it was fantastic to see. And hopefully we can continue to see a lot of this form that you showed tonight in the next coming season. Are you planning on running this next season? I assume you are, and I'd love to see you there.
Yeah, I'm planning to run next season. I had a blast this whole year. I plan to come back.
Yeah, well, that's
The 2022 VRL Cup Series. Last, and certainly is not going to be least here, Howie Briss coming home with second place here tonight in the race, but coming home with the championship, crowning himself the champion of the 2022 VRL Cup Series. Howie, what a season, what a phenomenal race that you had here tonight. I mean, we can't praise you enough. We can't speak enough about you. You have done a phenomenal job throughout this season. You've been extremely consistent. You've been a clean driver. I mean, every box you tick it off there, and really, it's just impressive to witness. Now, taking all of this and looking into next year, I mean, other than winning another championship, what are kind of your expectations looking into 2023, knowing that, I mean, Tony has mentioned that he's looking for more drivers to come into the series. He wants to see the field with more drivers out on track, and with that's going to come more competition. Are you maybe expecting to see more challenging drivers make their way into the league and potentially put on a good fight for the next next year's championship, or what's kind of your thoughts, and what do you maybe hope to see next year?
Well, I just hope that we get a bigger fields. I mean, this year was kind of good. I mean, I was consistent all year long. But no, this class is pretty much the best you're going to get. I mean, we put on a good show almost every Monday night. So, yeah. I mean, pretty much I was consistent all night long. And no, my dad's giving me a call on the phone, telling me congrats. He's trying to blow it up. But yeah, oh my gosh. I mean, I knew 2 wins was probably going to lock it up. I mean, I was nowhere near. I mean, nowhere near Jaden, but there was a couple wins that I could have got earlier. Just bad timing kind of cost them, or bad luck, pretty much. But pretty much out of the gate, just consistent, because Daytona is the most important place until next week happens. But you just got to be good out of the gate and pretty much just be strong no matter what.
Well, you managed to stay strong this entire season. I think out of any of the drivers here in this series, I think you have the most top 3 finishes. I can probably actually pull that up here for you. Yes, I think yes, you do. You have the most top 5 finishes out of anyone in the league, and also the most top 10 finishes out of anyone in the league. So, Howie, I mean, we can't say enough about you. You are an incredible driver, and it's been phenomenal seeing you dominate this season, albeit, not pulling off wins every single week, but you're just consistent every single week, and that's something that we don't get to see a whole lot of in either the virtual or the real racing space. So great job, and I'm sure I can speak for Gareth as well when I say that we're more than excited to see you race next season, and hopefully see someone else get up there and potentially put up some challenges. Now, speaking of drivers that we could potentially see make a comeback and really put up some fights here, I'm not 100% certain on this, but I think Aaron Smith mentioned that he was going to make a comeback for next year and be more active in the season. But who else do you think could have a good run going into 2023 and put on a good fight for that championship next year?
I feel like it's going to be probably the top 5 in points. Me, Tony, Jaden, Lovell. I can't remember who else finished 5th, but whoever was 5th place in the points, I have a feeling they'll be strong. They'll be up there among the front runners. But I know Ashley, she is fast. Aaron as well. They're kind of fast as well. But yeah, I have a feeling everyone's going to be in for something next year.
Absolutely. Well, Gareth, do you have any questions for Howie here? You have anything that you wanna ask him before we go here?
I don't know about questions. It's more of just like, I just don't. You know what? Actually, I'll turn it into a question. How are you able to be so consistent? If you can even answer that, because honestly, like we as Mason said, you've got more top 5s, more top 10s. We see you on the podium a lot. I mean, that's what made you get the championship, and I'm just curious how you were able to do it, if you can even sum that up.
I don't know if I can, but I kind of feel like I'm the Max Verstappen of this league. Anytime I pass a slower car, I just I pretty much just say, sucker, just hold out a sucker for them. So, but yeah, everyone, I don't know what it was this year of me being so consistent. I was just good off of the gate. Everyone else just had a bad start, but yeah, I feel like I just got good out of the gate, and pretty much that's what you need to do to win these sort of championships. You just need to be good out of the gate no matter what. Just be strong, and if you get caught up in a wreck, you got a long season ahead of you. You just got to keep fighting. Just keep on fighting, and eventually it'll all pay off in the end.
Well, you know what? That's good advice in racing and in life. So I'm sure that's
pretty much
resonates.
is.
Yeah, I'm sure that resonates with actually quite a lot more people than you expected.
Yeah, when you got your head down in the sand, you get back up and keep fighting. So,
Yeah, that's fantastic life advice. Really, that's probably the best you're gonna get. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of don't want to hijack this interview, Mason.
No, you're totally okay. Howie, I mean, obviously we could hold you here all night long and ask you questions all night long, but I think we can all attest when I say that it's been incredible seeing you perform this well this season and coming away with this championship. Definitely very well deserved, and we're all very excited to see what you have in store next year and be able to hopefully see you come away potentially with a two-time champion, a back-to-back championship here with VRL. But Howie, before we send you off here tonight, before you pop that champagne bottle and celebrate with your teammates and fellow drivers here, is anyone watching the broadcast, anyone at home, anyone in the pit crew, it is the last time here in the 2022 year before you can give your send-offs here. So the floor is yours, my friend. Go ahead.
all right, I got a long list. Let me get out the scroll here.
The scroll.
Yeah, I gotta get out the scroll. You know what? It's so long. I don't think I'm gonna be able to get to everyone. But mom's upstairs. I'm pretty sure she's watching it. Grandmother. Unfortunately, Granddad isn't here. He had some more sort of medical issue. But hopefully, we see him out of the hospital here soon. Ryan Torbenson, I'm pretty sure he's watching. Joe Thomas, the entire team of RTR, the team that I go racing with in the summers. We finished 9th in the WSOTA season in modifieds. Really proud of him. I have a feeling the RTR team is really proud of me becoming a champion in this league. You guys for sticking it out the whole season, watching me just kick butt this entire year. Tony Hilbrands for dealing with me and everyone else that runs this league, and pretty much everyone that follows this entire season, because without the fans, you know, we wouldn't be racing, and without Tony putting up the league and you guys, I don't know what we would be doing. But yeah, my name's Howie Briss. Thank you for coming to the VRL 2022 Championship, and I hope to see you next year in 2023.
That was a beautiful send-off. Thank you, Howie, for joining us up here in the booth, and we certainly look forward to seeing you next year. Have a good night, and don't drink too much of that champagne unless you feel like celebrating. It's your night.
I can't drink like any beer or whatnot because I'm 20 years old. So
Oh.
I gotta wait until January. So January 11th is the night. Hey, and I'll probably get on top of my truck like a NASCAR driver and just put my arms up in the air and wave them like I just don't care.
Howie, I'm just gonna let you know. In Australia, the drinking age is 18. So come over here, mate. We'll have a beer.
All right, plane tickets to Australia.
All right, Howie. Thank you for joining us up here. Thank you for chatting with us, and we look forward to seeing you next year, bud.
Yeah, I hope to see you guys next year. You guys have a great off season. Merry Christmas if we don't get the chance to see each other.
Absolutely. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year. You know the works. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, see ya.
Absolutely. Have a good one. Alrighty, folks. That was Howie Briss, our second place finisher for tonight's race, but our champion for the 2022 VRL Cup Series. That is going to conclude our coverage here of the championship round of the 2022 VRL Cup Series here for the Sin City 200. My name is Mason Heimbaugh with Gareth McAllister bringing you the action here tonight. Gareth, what a race that it has been. What a season that it has been. And frankly, I am more than looking forward to what we can see next year. I mean, there's not a whole lot that can be said about this season other than just absolutely incredible and action-packed. Gareth, I mean, what are kind of your thoughts on your time here, and what do you expect to see next year?
Well, you know, I've been broadcasting Velocity Racing League with you, Mason. I've just had a look back at it because I have all my notes, and I've been here for 10 races. This was my 10th race, and I absolutely love it. I mean, this is the best show I've ever had the pleasure of calling, and the most fun I've had on a broadcast in well, ever. So, you know, I just want to do huge shout out to Dawn Hillbrands for showing up and talking to us and dealing with our shenanigans every race, Mason. And you know, we see a few other supporters in the chat, which is always great to see. We got some drivers who, when they can't make the race, they come to the chat, like Sewell and some other people as well in the chat. So it's great to see the community is really behind the drivers. And you know what? Yeah, Mason, yourself, and these drivers, like, I know I'm just repeating myself basically, but it's been an absolute pleasure, and I am incredibly excited to see what 2023 will bring.
Absolutely, it's gonna be exciting, folks. I'm already antsy. I'm ready for next year to start up. But we're gonna have quite a while until we see next year begin. If I am not mistaken, next year will start. I think it's going to be January. Let me double check this here for you. It's a rough idea. February, actually, is when we will see the first race, and it will be subject to change, mind you. It'll be February 20th at Daytona for the Beach Blast 250. So that will be our first race of the 2023 season. Again, subject to change. The schedule may change before that time. So we have a few months before we get into 2023. So take this time, enjoy the holidays, enjoy your time with friends, family, all that good stuff. But make sure you get subscribed and get ready for next year to begin, as it's going to be a very, very exciting season. But anyhow, that is going to bring this broadcast to a close here, folks. I want to thank you all once again for tuning in and watching. As Gareth has already mentioned, each and every single one of you are greatly appreciated. Thank you all for tuning in and watching every single week. Again, subscribe, hit that like button if you haven't already. Catch all the action that we have here on Team Goon Squad. Right now, it's our down season, so it's not too busy right now, but there is plenty of action to be seen here before too long. So thank you all for tuning in, folks. We will see you all the next time.